Auburn appears to be in it for an elite offensive lineman.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. I'm your host, Zac Blackerby, and thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. It's a Recruiting Thursday. That means we are joined by the Brian Smith. He hosts the Portal, Locked On's daily, sometimes twice a day, or even 3 times a day, podcast on recruiting, NIL, and the transfer portal. Brian, we'll talk in a second about Auburn's quarterback recruiting because we have to, right? We have to talk that, as well as a receiver that I keep hearing his name over and over again. You've watched him a ton. You actually kind of sold him on me originally. And then some offensive linemen to know. But let's start with Darius Gray, consensus 5-star interior offensive lineman from Richmond, Virginia. Darius Gray, a guy that you've spoken to and you've sent me video of, and he checks every single box you could ask for.
Darius is a great kid. Yeah, he's from Richmond, Virginia, and I saw him this past weekend at Battle in the Trenches in South Florida. It's in an elite tournament where it's a lineman camp, one-on-ones over and over and over again. And I felt bad for some of the kids that went against him because they didn't get off the line of scrimmage. So to put his athleticism into perspective on the basketball team, which went to the state finals, he sometimes plays point guard at 280 pounds.
Unbelievable. That's insane.
I've never even heard of anything like, I'm like, come on, bro, you're not. He goes, no. And some of the other coaches around were telling me about it. I'm like, okay. The only team they lost to is the team's, their point guard's probably going to Duke.
Got it.
Okay. So we're good. We're good. But at the same time, I watched him move when he went up against guys. Darius is about 280. He went up against guys that are 230, 240. You would expect him to get smoked a few times. He never got obliterated on a single rep.
Yeah. So some of the reps you showed me, there's like no wasted movement when he does his drop step and kind of gets in position and gets his hand on the defender. You know, I mean, there's different ways to attack it. And some folks, chop their feet more so they're able to kind of adjust quickly. But there's just no wasted movement when Darius Gray has a pass protection rep. It's beautiful.
I don't know who has trained this young man, as I'm not familiar with the Virginia scene that much, but
sure.
They've applied something that he has caught on to.
No kidding.
And he has better technique than some college guys, and he's got another year of high school left. So the other thing about Darius is his punch, as we call it. He'll jump set somebody once in a while, and it's like, uh-oh, that didn't look like it felt very good, and the guy's just done. The rep's over. So he's a physically imposing guy. One of the other elite players there, Chancellor Barkley, walked over to him and said, dude, you're so strong, it's ridiculous. Barkley just committed to Clemson. This is a guy that gets it too. Okay. And he was just talking about how strong he was. He's only 280 right now, and he looks lean. I've never been 280 and lean. Okay, I just want to throw that out there. That's something I can't explain.
Most people haven't. Most people haven't. And it's not like he's 6'5" or anything. Like 6'3", 285, lean as can be. And you got to assume that he play at the next level at 300-ish, you think?
Yeah, he'll probably be the left guard at School X. Okay, we'll talk about that in a second. And just be that guy that can move really well. In today's game with outside zone, with screens, quarterback scrambles, he is the modern offensive lineman. And it's why his recruiting list is bananas. LSU and Auburn and South Carolina, Virginia Tech, North Carolina, all these schools across the country. He told me he's going to take 9 OBs. Auburn is one of the first schools he mentioned to me.
9 OBs.
And I was like, holy cow, dude, you're going to kill yourself. But Darius Gray said that's what the plan is, and he just wants to enjoy the process. He's a great kid, very humble, but I just think he's going to be over. I bet 9 doesn't happen. That is my strong guess because those are going to wear him out.
Yeah, I got a feeling also at one of those early ones, he'll be motivated to not take anymore. I bet there's a chance of that as well, that he will be heavily encouraged to go ahead and commit somewhere and lock it down. So we'll see. But yeah, you just before we clicked record, you were playing your interview that you had with him. And the guy just seems like he's having a great time. Like his energy, I could feel it through the recorder that you were playing it on. And those are the guys that usually Auburn tends to attract, like just the kind of, go with the flow, like excited, positive vibes type energy. It felt like you were interviewing an Auburn player when you played that.
To be honest, his vibe does fit that. I hadn't really thought about it much, but he's got a bit of a country feel to him.
Sure.
Very all shucks and very humble.
Sure.
I could see him fitting in very well on the Plains. I hadn't really thought about that much until you brought it up, but it's true.
So of the 9 schools that he mentioned that he's taking an OV to, did he lean towards some more than the other, or was it pretty straightforward with your conversation with him?
A little of both. Like LSU intrigues him because when he really started getting into college football, that was the 2019 season, which is obviously very advantageous for the Tigers. But that being stated, he wants to take those visits and he wants to give everybody a chance. So I don't know how much playing time is going to factor in, or how much the assistant coaches, all that. Like he's trying to figure it out and he's not rushing the decision. And to Auburn, if they were to get him like playing time path, it's going to be easier on the Plains than it is in Baton Rouge. So I'm very confident that we are not to the point where Zac Blackerby is comfortable with hearing they missed on offensive linemen. I know that is still what keeps you up at night.
Well, it's way better than it used to be.
Yes,
way
it
better
is.
than it used to be. And the interior linemen have actually been fine. I think it's been more of the tackles, which makes everything, kind of operate and go. But I would still take Darius Gray. I mean, you project that into the future, and it's like your guards could potentially be. I guess there's a solid chance that there would be Darius Gray on one side, and then you've got DeAndre Carter as the other guard.
So you got the pure power player, then you got the true athlete. Like that would be a really unique combination.
I mean, that'd be pretty exciting. I guess Cale Ellis would be your center at that point. Like, could do way worse. Could do way worse than those options.
Yeah, Darius even played some tackle at the event, and he was really good at that because his feet are so good. So I wouldn't rule that out completely. But like at guard, there's just nobody as an interior player that's going to be more athletic. So it's just going to be a matter of putting on a few more pounds. And yeah, I think he's going to be a year 2 starter, even at the SEC level. I don't like projecting freshmen to start in the SEC, but
it's tough.
Yeah,
there's a lot of variables too. One, they have to physically be ready, and 2, there has to be no one else in front of them. That's just kind of hard to pinpoint.
Yeah, you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know. Right.
Absolutely the kind of guy that you want in your program. And if you can get that kid, I don't care where he lives, in this case, Virginia, you try to get him to come.
Whatever. That's kind of close to Baltimore, right? It's kind of close to Baltimore.
It's not that far. Yeah. So there's some relationship with Auburn.
Yeah, that's right. The pipeline keeps growing, hopefully. So Darius Gray, certainly a guy to keep watching moving forward. There's another offensive lineman that has generated some chatter, excited about him, and he's got a tie to Auburn. He's not in Virginia. We'll talk about that next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, shopping online, entertainment, it's so easy to lose track, and that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you the full visibility and control over your finances. The thing I love about Monarch Money is it isn't just a budgeting app. It's they call it a complete finance command center, and it's right. You can track your investments, you can track your spending, you can track subscriptions and all of this other stuff all in one place. You don't need separate apps. Very, very easy to use, all in one convenience. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $50 off your first year. Today's show is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experiencing a big game in person, and it's March. We all know what that means. If you're saying, hey, you know what, I want to get up to Lexington this weekend, you can do that, and you can save some money by going to Game Time. Or if you're just planning ahead, go ahead and get those tickets for Atlanta if you believe in the Tigers this weekend. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That is LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. Brian Smith, host of The Portal. Make that your second listen every single day after you check out Locked On Auburn. So, Brian, another guy that I'm hearing, Wilson Zaire, his older brother, Killian Zaire, played tackle for Auburn. I guess looks like he's signed with the Falcons currently. But Wilson, state of Georgia kid, He's slowly picking up more and more offers, but a guy that, Auburn is certainly pursuing. You are muted, my friend. You were muted. I think you muted yourself during the ad read. So now, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. There you are. Hello.
Yeah, this is a young man that has ties to Auburn. And quite frankly, it's hard to find tackles, as you and I talk about a lot on this show, especially ones that has a brother that's already went to Auburn and picked up a degree. So I think it's fun to look at it from that perspective. But here's where it gets really interesting. He's from Germany, and he's at the Raven Gap School. And that's a boarding school in the mountains of North Georgia. So hardly anybody sees these kids, and they go around and take all these visits. He's got Georgia lined up for an OB. Alabama wants to get him for an OB. Auburn's got him coming in May 30th. Pittsburgh. This is an unusual recruitment because usually we know about the tackles pretty early because they stand out. This is a guy I didn't know a lot about, and then I saw his list, and I'm like, okay, if Georgia, Auburn, and Alabama want to tackle, as a general rule, that is a very good sign. Again, he has a direct tie to Auburn, too. That's
really cool. I mean, if you take the brother out of this situation, the recruitment reminds me a little bit of Favor Edwin a few years ago.
Well, that's a good call. That's a good call. It was out of nowhere.
Because normally it's like the tackles are identified when they're in like 8th or 9th grade, and everybody just kind of keeps tab on them. This guy's recruitment is trending going into his senior year, similar to Favor Edwin. And it seemed like Auburn was kind of first there. It seems like Auburn's got an early lead with Zaire. I'm sure the brother situation helps with that, but I just don't want folks to see like his ranking similar to what they did with Favor Edwin. And then by the time it's signing day and Auburn's one of the 2 schools for Favor Edwin, and then it's like, oh, this guy is wanted by everyone. Who cares about his ranking? This could be a similar situation.
It's probably the case because like he didn't go to Under Armour. He doesn't get around to a lot of the camps and stuff. I know from just being in the industry, most people don't like ranking players very high unless they go to a bunch of the camps. And I get it. But
is that political, or is it just how we haven't really seen you outside of, just a video, so they don't feel comfortable doing it? Or is it some of both?
Both.
Okay.
I think it's just natural comfort. If you see it with your own eyes, it's a little different. Like, especially like when you hear about a guy, how fast they are. Okay, there's a kid named McFarland that's at IMG that's a sub 4.4 guy. When you see him run live, it's just different. You can see a number on a screen, but you see it live, it's different. Seeing a kid like this at 6'6", I'd love to see how he moves. But if Bama wants him, if Georgia wants him, like Pittsburgh, Auburn, there's a really good chance this kid's an athlete. And like his photo, you're like, oh, okay. He looks like an athlete. He's long and lean. Offensive tackles that look like that generally work out pretty well. So there aren't a lot of them. And he's already got the bloodlines too. Like his family's into football. That helps. That matters, man. He knows what it looks like because his brother tells him. He's in the freaking NFL. So that's really important as well.
Yeah, I think so. So Wilson Zaire, keep an eye out on him. Brian, let's pivot to quarterback because we got to talk about quarterback for a second. It still seems like Travis Burgess is the most likely option right now. From my point of view, you correct me if you're hearing something else. I mean, for a while, it seemed like there was this debate of, okay, if they don't get one of the 5-star guys, which they kind of seemed like they removed themselves from that situation pretty quickly. I think they weren't going to be in that bidding war. There was almost a discussion between like Travis Burgess or Landon Duckworth. Landon Duckworth is the in-state guy. Jackson High School, is that correct?
That is
Jackson?
Correct.
Yep. And, he put out his top 3 or 4 or 5 or something, like Auburn's not on there. Like it seems like Auburn kind of backed off of him, and they haven't really backed off of Travis Burgess. And it doesn't really seem like any other big name schools are going after Burgess. Like to me, it seems like this is the most likely option to be Auburn's quarterback in this 2026 class.
Yeah, by now, if there would have been another guy that is quote unquote on the same level with likelihood, the chances of that not being in the forefront are really low.
Yeah.
And in today's world, things can change quicker because of NIL. I'm fully aware of that.
Sure.
But Burgess, you and I have talked about him for a month plus. Like he's quote unquote the leader in the clubhouse to end up signing with the Auburn Tigers. That's a long time, and for it to be spring of his junior year for it not to happen. So unless something else does change, like I've already like, at least mentally in my mind, penciled Burgess into Auburn's class. I don't know about you, but that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I feel comfortable doing so. And so many of these guys are visiting in May. I mean, I got a feeling we'll know by then.
Yeah, Auburn has the big May 30th weekend. I would be shocked if he's not on campus for that weekend, whether it's unofficial or official.
He's got an official on May 30th. Yeah.
Okay, well then, here's the other rule of thumb. Whatever a team's biggest weekend is for any campaign, if the quarterback is there and there's only one, pretty good chance that's your guy.
That's a good
That's
point.
just the rule, because usually you only take one quarterback. It's pretty rare you take more than one. So if Burgess is the only guy that's taken an OV to Auburn, I mean, at this point, like, why would you not feel that's going to be the end all be all?
Yeah, Wisconsin has popped up late, and Duke's kind of always hung out there. The OV for Wisconsin is the week after that, June 6th, and then 2 weeks later on June 20th, he's going on an OV to Duke. That's according to his 247 page. So worth monitoring. But I don't know. He told somebody, I forgot, it may have been Clemente. That's something that Clemente put out, but somebody reported that he's going to try to get back with his family before that OV. And that just screams like, let's go ahead and get in the boat and let's get a plan to kind of get talent around you.
That's exactly what I think as well. And that's probably one of the other reasons they want him to visit on the 30th, because Auburn's going to have other receivers, linemen, et cetera, guys that would be directly impacting his playing career. So why would you not want to do it that way?
We talked about this a lot last year with, how impressive Auburn's recruiting class was. And for like the vast majority of the cycle, they didn't have a quarterback committed because Deuce flipped so late. And you and I had conversations like, this is amazing that they've done this without having a quarterback in the class.
It is rare, really rare.
A guy like Travis Burgess, who you and I both believe he's better than his ranking. You and I have had several conversations about that. And I think anybody who watches his tape for 5 minutes is like, yeah, I think they would agree. Do you think having a guy like him go ahead and committing early, which seems to be the plan, will it still have that same level of impact as like Walker White 2 years ago, or the assumption that Deuce Knight was eventually going to get in the boat? Or do you think that since he's lower rated, is that how the players are going to view him? Or are the players going to view him like me and you view him?
I think the Georgia kids will look at him differently than his ranking because he plays at Grayson.
Sure.
If you play at Grayson and you're the quarterback for multiple years, you're a guy. So the kids that are local to Auburn, that'll make a difference. If they try to get a receiver out of Texas or something, it may not matter as much.
Yeah.
But locally, I absolutely think it matters.
Cool. I worded that question the longest way possible, and I'm so sorry that I wasted your time on that. All right. Hey, there's a name of a young receiver that I keep hearing over and over again, and I don't think it'll surprise you, Brian. That's next, right here on Locked On Auburn. Today's show brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you still need that boost to get through the day. So whether you're staying up late watching college basketball during this month or squeezing in a round of golf after work, just try to keep up with your busy day. All of that's fine, but you can do it all with 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach mango, our favorite here on the show, grape. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack, and it's delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up and stay energized. All of that is at 5hourenergy.com. Final few minutes on today's edition of Locked On Auburn. It is a Cruton Thursday. Brian Smith, host of The Portal, Locked On's daily recruiting NIL transfer portal podcast. I keep hearing from players that Sam Turner, former Georgia Tech commit, Auburn wide receiver, is impressing his teammates and a lot of team-led stuff. Brian, this is similar to what we were just talking about, like 3-star guys. But it's like you watch their tape and it's like, this guy's not a 3-star. I don't care. I don't care what his ranking is. We said that a ton. You led the charge on that. You pointed him out to me. Sam Turner, it sounds like he's impressing his teammates. Does that mean he's going to play day one? No, but it does seem like he's ahead of schedule.
This is a kid that can fly, first off.
Sure.
And secondarily, he played Southwest DeKalb right on the edge of Atlanta. It's a famous program that Georgia, Auburn, Bama, everybody recruits every year. So when a kid comes out of that school, I give it the edge anyhow. And then you watch the film as a junior, and then again as a senior. It wasn't like a fluke or anything. He runs by guys from Atlanta. Like Atlanta's a top 4 city in the country for football. I think that's a very important data point. And Auburn, honestly, they went all in. I remember getting some notes from a few of the recruiting guys around here at Auburn. Like, they really want this kid. And I didn't know a ton about him. I started researching. I'm like, why is he a 3-star recruit?
Well, his name popped up on all the Big Cat visitor lists. And we're like, who's this Georgia Tech commit? And then you're like, who's Sam Turner? And you start watching it. It's like, okay, yeah, please, come on. And then you added the context of like the guys that he's doing this against are some of the most talented guys in the country.
Atlanta is just so good, and he's right on the edge of all of it. So he's used to going against those guys at camps and workouts and all that, and then the actual season itself. So I was like, Auburn is really gone all in on speed, like Malcolm Simmons, different guys that can really run. You need those in your now. Auburn's starting to stack some of that. Turner is another guy that you can use jet sweeps, you can use reverses, different things. But if you play man coverage against him and you misstep, it's touchdown.
Is he more similar in your mind to Malcolm Simmons or Keandre Lambert-Smith?
I would go Malcolm.
Interesting. In my brain, I was picturing more of like a KLS style receiver with Sam Turner.
I mean, there are some similarities, but I just think he needs to, like most high school kids, the difference between him today and what he will be in like 8 months physically, by the end of this next, like all the way, he'll be a different human being. That's just part of growing into your body. KLS was probably similar to this when he got to like Penn State originally before he transferred to Auburn. But can he get to where KLS was as a route runner? Because if Sam does that, he's an NFL player. NFL was going to love him because if he makes it to the combine, he's going to run sub 4.4.
Yeah. I think this now freshman class, when it comes to receiver, it almost felt like filler at the time. It's like Sam Turner, great. But Sam and Derek's like they're gonna cause some issues for people.
I think that Auburn's now in the weirdest of situations because we were like, what is going on with the receiver? Then 2 years later, it was like, well, who's going to play and who's not? It's flipped more than any wide receiver room, not just the Southeastern Conference, but maybe in college football.
Yeah, it's like there's going to be some really talented guys that don't play and like not have a role, like don't play.
Yeah, I don't know how they do that because you can play some of the younger guys like Derek and Eric, his brother, et cetera, against the directional schools and all that, but they know they're good. How you keep everybody happy is one of the most important things now in college football because, again, with the portal, it's not that you can just leave. You can leave and play immediately at another school. So kids don't have that barometer to worry about, well, I'd have to sit out. I don't want to do that. You're going to play. So that's going to be hard for Freeze and his staff, but it's a good problem because if you're short, then obviously you're losing games anyway.
Right. So that's fun. You'd much rather be in this situation than the other. For sure. You'd much rather be, all right, how do I keep talent versus how do I get talent? So you'd much rather be on this side of that. No question. Brian, how can people check out everything that you've got going on?
Sure. Locked On, the portal is on YouTube, is on Spotify, Apple, and everywhere you get your pods. We're having stuff every day. And like you said earlier, usually more than one podcast. I actually had 3 yesterday. It's a little bit of everything. Transfer portal, by the way, is 1 month away from really ramping up. That is going to be wild. You should start looking at your depth chart no matter what school you root for, because there's going to be some people moving. I've already talked to some coaches that are concerned in different spots.
Yeah.
There might be some guys induced to get into the portal around the country. There will be some surprises.
Yeah, I think so. So that'll be fun to follow. I think fun to follow.
It'll be intriguing. May not make you happy depending on the school you root for, but that's
just all depends. That is a perspective thing for sure. Hey, please like the video. Please subscribe. And if you're tuning in on audio, please leave us a review and 5 stars and subscribe and all that. Helps the show out a ton. We'll see you next time. This has been Locked On Auburn.